Good morning, Warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2, the 1% Club. I'm doing an early morning one here. I wanted to kind of get one out before I take a trip to another part of the state. And so it's nice weather here in the Midwest. I love it. It's nice and cool. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's kind of in between, and it's good. So thank you guys for all your subscriptions, comments. I think we're at 610, something like that, subscriptions. So thank you guys so much. God bless you guys. And really, I wanted to say thank you guys because I appreciate all the support and comments. It's getting to the point where I think I'm kind of losing track of some things. So if I apologize if I didn't get to mention your name, or I forget to do that, I try to go back over the list of all the people who are sending stuff into me, and I got a bunch of good comments last night as well. So I'm going to kind of focus on one of these today, and this I think is both from Willem and also from Nizar, I think, sent me a question about anti-aging, and I think Nizar saw the one on Fountain of Youth, and I promised to go back, and I just haven't done that yet. So I'll do that. I need to go back and actually kind of do one on the exercises of Fountain of Youth. But he has talked about, is semen retention something that can get anti-aging? Let's talk about that a little bit and I think this really applies to men and women. And I think if women have been searching for a long time for that anti-aging type of thing so they can stay young, but they don't realize a lot of that's within them, and the makeup and the surgery, those things don't really help. They they kind of just stop they kind of give an image of the process. And remember, a lot of things are images, illusions. They're not really real, and so it's not long lasting. This type of thing we're talking about with retention for men and women is long lasting, and it's something that stays with you. And I know I'm done, and I'm at 286 days, I believe it is, and probably about 80, I don't know, a little bit of 80, maybe 85, 86, maybe even closer to 90 monk mode days. And the thing is that you're really kind of using a lifestyle in which you're going to change the way you look at things. And so let's go to the question here that he's talking about, Nizar and Willem, and a good question. So we're talking about aging here. Now, I go back a little bit of my history on this because I did not really realize this fully until a couple years ago. And now that I do, it's a little different type of situation than I had before. So back in, 1997, 98, somewhere like that, we moved to a town, and I was struggling because I was in my mid-30s, something like that, and we had just started a family and a wife and children, and they were small, and I had just struggled physically more than anything else. And a lot of it was because I had gotten beat up so much in playing football, both in high school and college as American football, and it was just a grueling thing. I couldn't get up in the morning. I struggled with trying to, that's one of the reasons why I quit football in college, is because I couldn't get up to go to my classes because I was just so much pain and I had so much energy and injuries. And no matter how big you are, and I'm not that big, but no matter how big you are, you're going to get hurt. And so a lot of times it gets to the point of saying, okay, it's amazing. I see somebody like Tom Brady. It's amazing to me that he's playing at 45 years old, because it is not easy to do that. And, trying to get through the bumps and bruises that you have every day is hard. So I struggled with that, and I had a lot of issues, and I had gone to the doctor, and, there was a lot of concern. Not only that, but the hypertension I had, because I wasn't really kind of taking care of myself either. And so the combination of the two, and also I had a lot of, like you said, like we talked about, a lot of the discharging and all that kind of stuff that they talk about in the Bible, and I wasn't very clean when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I didn't realize that combination of things was deadly. And in fact, I didn't really expect myself to live a long time, which is what my goal was. I wanted to live over 100, and I was nowhere near that, and I was going to not even get close to that the way things were going. Well, then I happened to go, and we went to like a Goodwill or something like that, and I actually found a book I started reading, and I looked at it, and it was very interesting. It was called The Fountain of Youth by Kendler, and I looked at that thing and I said, something, I'm really interested in how people live a long time, because that's kind of, like I said, that was my goal. And so I actually went ahead and read that book and bought it from Goodwill. And I started reading it, and it talked about the lamas and the priests in Tibet and how they lived a long time. And this gentleman was trying to find the Fountain of Youth, and he thought he'd go to Tibet and find out what what was happening with the people there, and why they were living. In fact, A, were they living a lot longer, and B, why was that the case? And so he went out, and he left the people he was talking to, and he was probably about 65 or something like that, and he looked like 65. He was hunched over. He looked like that he wasn't in good shape either. And I can empathize with that, because I kind of felt the way he did at that point. And then he went out, and he did find a place in Tibet where they had the monks and the people who were actually kind of, doing a lot of these things and living a life. And they looked, they were a lot older than they looked. And he tried to figure that out, and he stayed with them for a while and kind of figured out what was happening. And so he came back. And once he did this for a few months, he looked completely younger, and he didn't look even close to what his age was. And they were asked, he kind of explained back to the people in America, the groups that would listen to him, and a lot of people still, they think the Fountain of Youth is some sort of, remedy of some sort, medicine or something like that. You can do this, and you have, you look younger. You can do this and look younger and things like that. And or a person, you can go to a person, and they got those type of things. They got the wisdom or the ideas about how to do that. Well, the fact of the matter that he found was that, and this is where I got interested, is that it is all inside of you. The Fountain of Youth, the aging, is inside of you. Now, a lot of you young guys, it makes no difference to at this point. But as you get older, you'll recognize the fact that this semen retention keeps you young. And it does keep you young for many, many reasons. But it gives you power, it gives you strength, and you want to continue staying, healthy. And you want to stay, you want to live a long time. But what he found was that there were 5 exercises, 5 rites, they call them, R-I-T-E-S, 5 rites that really played into this, and actually got what he called the vertexes and chakras inside yourself. Not the vertexes, the chakras. And they activated chakras, energy forces, to actually be able to keep you younger. And what happens is these things slow down as time goes on, and that's how you end up looking older. And we all get to that point eventually, but it can slow the process down by a great deal with slowing the by speeding up the chakras, so that you continue to get those right. Young person has very fast chakras, and an older person has chakras that go slow. Now, if you look at energy and you look at the whole discussion we've had on physics, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense to me. It always has. And whatever you want to call the things that we have inside of us, it's energy. And if you want to look at energy as being, chakras and having the swirl things in parts of your body, up in your brain and down below yourself and your chest and things like that, and your legs, then that's something that's very realistic. And so I kind of took this to heart, and I said, okay, this is something that I'm going to look into. And so there was a set of exercises that he did when it came to the 5 rites. And as I said, I got to do a video on the 5 rites again. I mean, I think I've done one before, but I want to do it because of a lot of our new subscribers and people that are interested in it. But I started doing the exercises, and I started looking the same. Now, I did not look younger, in a sense. I mean, I kept the same hair and everything. But what I did do was I didn't look older. So at 61, some of you guys have said some nice things, and I appreciate that. You look like you're about 35, 40, some people have said. And that's about the time that I started doing these type of exercises. So I slowed down the aging process, I guess is the way you could say it. I mean, I don't think you ever do anything. I mean, God is going to determine when you're here and you're gone. So I think your body is aging. It just is a natural part of gravity and those things that the Lord gives you and works with you with. But you can, I believe, with these exercises, going ahead and kind of stalling or slowing down the aging process as you go through. And so that's why I tend to kind of still look like, some people at least. Now, I don't know, it's just kind of, I'm the last person to try to be egotistical or anything like this about this, but this is kind of what people have told me. Around 35, something like that, around 40 and that kind of thing. So that's the age where I started. And we were talking about 20 some years ago, right? 1999, 1998. So it was about 20 some years ago, so 2022. So somewhere around there. And so the thing is that it's kind of stopped you. Now, if you guys start doing this younger, you do this in your 20s, man, imagine what you're going to be looking like, in the next 20, 25 years. You're going to age very slowly. And I believe that's very true. Now, when it comes to the actual thing about the anti-aging part of this as well, I believe that one of the things that I was not doing in trying to continue this is to actually focus on right number 6. Now, the 5 rights that Kendler brought back, he talked about the fact that you needed to do kind of energy things and go through chakras and things like that. But the 6th one, he said, if you want to be superhuman, he was told through the Tibet, priests and monks and things like that you have to do an exercise that involves not having sex. Now, I didn't really think about this in terms of semen retention back in 1998. I just knew that celibacy was something that I learned in the Catholic Church, and it was something that we practiced a lot. And I practiced it until I got married. So I was very old-fashioned and did that way. So I didn't really think about semen retention as something that was powerful. But as time went on, I realized through learning more about semen retention over the last 20 years, that is something that is very important. Now, because it was something that was a lot more common to men back in the 1920s, not 20s, well, 20s too, but all the way through the time I was born in the 1960s, I think that you focus on realizing that this is just a normal type of thing. But in this day and age, with all the pornography, with all the images out there, and all the people releasing energy, discharging all the time, basically, this is really unusual type of thing for people to practice. And this is why this is important. This is, I believe, why they live so long. And it's a combination of transmuting through those exercises. I believe that's how you transmute. That they were very smart. They had the idea of the monks were very smart. They had the idea of not having intercourse and to start discharging in the meantime every morning, doing these exercises, and they only take you 5-10 minutes, but it continues to get your chakras moving. And I think that's part then of transmute that energy that you're using that you wouldn't normally think about. So anytime you thought about a sexual thought, you would do that. So that would keep you out of monk mode as well. So I've been practicing that now for the last, I made a commitment, said, okay, when COVID was starting, 800 some days ago, I said, I'm making a commitment to go monk mode, and I'm going to go ahead and do this 6th exercise, because now was the time that I wanted to become really superhuman, because I had 61. I wanted to combat any kind of issues I had, because I wanted to live a long time. And so this is why I decided to do this. Now, as Willem and Nizar is asked too about this, and Nizar, I think, was the main question. I believe, again, as we talk about this, that you're talking about something that's a very strong, powerful part of you. You have that process within you to be able to be strong and to regenerate. Obviously, if you're able to heal, you're able to do it. Now, obviously, at a certain pace. I think, once again, we all are getting older. It's not a matter of not getting older. It's a matter of really slowing the process down to the point where, you are living a lot longer than you would have. And I think obviously a lot of other things factor into it. Genetics are probably part of it as well, along with, your desire and the want you have to live a long time. But I think that want and idea in my mind helped me because it gave me a chance to learn all this information that I didn't learn. So I will focus more on the Fountain of Youth exercise as we go along, but that 6 exercise in which you're standing up and you're taking breathing and you're moving all that energy from below you up to the top is very crucial, because you're transmuting that energy that you would normally have by thinking of those type of thoughts into more positive things in your body. And so any sort of ailment you might have, you can actually heal to some degree. Obviously, if it's a broken bone or something, it's a whole different thing. Though I have seen people who in football who've had broken bones and never got it healed, and it actually repaired itself and actually was stronger in the spot. It's always a funny thing that sometimes when people get broken bones, it becomes stronger when it heals than it was before. So interesting. But the thing is that I think that we holistically, I believe more in holistic types of things now, because I believe that people can actually, feel better and get better. And I think a lot of that comes back to that semen retention that we've talked about, that you start with. That the idea that you have to keep your nutrients. And it just makes all the sense in the world to me that if you're going to stay young as as you can be, and you're going to try to be healthy and do the things to make you live a long time, well, of course you're going to look at things like, what is it that I'm losing on my body? What kind of nutrients do I need? And if you're going to keep a lot of your nutrients, well, then that's going to help you in that cause. And I think that's something to really kind of think about and look at, that if it's helping you in your cause, then I'm going to continue doing that. And I think that's the whole key to what we're talking about, helping you become a stronger person over time. So I think it's a great question, and I don't always get a chance to talk about it. And like I said, I promised a few guys that I would be doing this Fountain of Youth exercises, and I'll get a chance one of these days when I get a few minutes. I will actually demonstrate the exercises, and I promise to do that, and I will. So that's something that I do want to do. But the idea is there, and if you guys get a chance, please look up I think it's called The Ancient Secrets of the Fountain of Youth. There's a few different books. The original book, I think, is Peter Kendler, I think the name is. And I've had that book on my shelf. I've been reading that for years. And like I said, I feel really strong in my heart that it's helped me a great deal. And I also think that the big reason it kind of accelerated the process is because of semen retention. Because that is the 6th recommendation that they have, besides the exercises, which I think helps transmute that energy you have. The chakras keep moving. And however you want to describe it, I think to me it works. It's worked for me. Over the last 20 years, I have been healthier than I think I was between the ages of 18 and 35, maybe, when I started playing football, and I was getting, banged up and hit all the time, and injuries, and people, breaking fingers, and all kinds of stuff. I think my approach has been so much better over the last 20 years, with that, because of that. So that's why I say that this is something that I really fully believe in, and that as you go through, this is something I think you guys should consider. Now, should you consider when you're younger? Well, I think so. I think certainly anytime you can start these exercises, and there's no reason you can't keep the same exercise. I still do some weight training. I still do a lot of walking, nutritional things, but I always start every morning with meditation, prayer, and this attitude, and these exercises. And so I get up a little bit earlier, with my dogs. I walk them about 5 o'clock, 5:15. Then I do these exercises, and take a shower and get ready to move. So the thing is that you can fit this in, but I had to, because I was very concerned about my health back when I was in my 30s. Very concerned, and I wanted to make sure that I did everything I could to feel better and live longer. And so I haven't had any kind of the back issues, any sort of the real problems that I had when I was in my 30s. And so this is why I really went on all this type of attitude. And the thing that pushed me over to kind of even do these videos really were the retention. And I should have been doing that 20 years earlier, but I just didn't, once again, because of a lot of the things that we talked about before, I just didn't feel like that was something that I really, felt like I could do or wanted to do. And so we did that. So this is